Hey everyone, this is Kevin from OverAI, and I have another video tutorial for you today. This one is on creating a CRM within OverAI using the architect. And here's why I picked a CRM. CRM is a fairly complex piece of software, and I wanted to show how you can kind of cover all the different parts of it within OverAI. And I'll walk through this diagram in a moment to show you that. I think it's a good example of a common class of software that has many popular offerings, such as Salesforce or HubSpot. But we hear from customers that they have these unique situations that may not fit nicely into these default ways of running a CRM. And so I wanted to show you, an overview of the normal way that CRMs are set up, and then show an alternate case that we can build out in OverAI and some of the advantages to building a custom approach for this kind of use case. So, first of all, let's understand how a CRM typically works. The point of a CRM is to track deals all the way from origination to completion. It is about growing revenue for your business, and these are the common deal stages, going from qualified all the way to closed won. And the inputs to move those deals along are things like talking to leads and running calls, sending emails, holding meetings, and then it's all organized via deals, right? You are working with an individual person that is at a company. I showed the metadata down here, but the deal is the thing that you're actually tracking in the CRM to determine if your path to making money. And then as you track all your deals, I have this outputs column to show some of the things you can do with that data, either after the deals close or while they're in progress. There are reports, there are automations you can build, integrations. These are all common in the industry. They can also be built in OverAI, and I'll show you that today. And here's the scenario I wanted to target um, as one that may not be solved. It's a slight variation on a normal sales process, and it may not be solved well in CRMs. So the idea is you run a web development agency. That means you build web projects for clients, but you always sell your deals alongside a branding agency. A branding agency is someone that can work with the client to understand, how they want their brand to feel to customers, and that's not your expertise. And that creates actually two concurrent pipelines from what we were going over before. There's a branding pipeline where the branding agency will try to form an agreement with the client on different creative choices. And then there's this web development project that interacts with those branding decisions, but is not always clear from the start because it's really two simultaneous decisions. What do you want your brand to feel like? And then what sort of project do you want to do? And so this is not captured well in existing CRMs. And so I wanted to see if we could do a better job here. And so the problem statement is you need your CRM to reflect a deal status in two pipelines, and that determines progress towards selling the deal. In other words, this deal doesn't close unless both the branding part is covered and the development part is covered. And it's not really owned by, the deal itself is not owned by either company, the web development agency or the branding agency. It's kind of in between. And finally, because there are so many little interactions and nobody owns it directly, no one wants to be the one to move that deal along manually in software. In the world of AI, it should hopefully uh, move along more simply and more integrated with your existing working style, and you shouldn't have to log into software just to move it. So we have our problem statement, our scenario here. We have our conceptual understanding of how a CRM works. I'm still not sure if I want to upload this diagram to OverAI. I might, but let's start with the product. So I created a new workspace over here to track this project. All I have set up so far is the email integration, which I'll walk through when we get to that point. But I think before we even start building anything, we have some creative decisions to make here. There are two that come to mind. One is, how do we represent something that is a deal in kind of two pipelines at once? It is managed simultaneously by two different companies to see if it progresses. I haven't seen that in software products before, so that's a new idea. And the second idea is uh, in many CRMs, there's a salesperson that has the CRM open all day and they kind of move things along manually when needed to move things to completion. We'd like to automate that as much as possible to reflect the fact that when two companies need to impact the deal, neither one really owns it. So I'm going to start with the architect and ask these questions before we even start building. Let's open it up here, and I'm just going to paste in what I have from the. So here's an app that I would like to build. Can you help me think of some visuals or ways to manage the idea of two pipelines for a deal at once? So we're asking this in very human terms. Going back here to copy what we have, and let's see what happens. Okay, so let's see what we have. Intersection, think of it like a Gantt chart. Across the Kanban board. Yep, that sounds right. The dual track Kanban. So this is not an actual UI suggestion. This is just a diagram. So let's see. This is probably, the simplest idea. We've got a deal. It moves through these things. Oh, there's a summary here. Two lanes. Okay, that one seems pretty straightforward. Single pipeline. I think the challenge with a single pipeline will be that they progress at different paces, so it's not necessarily easy to show that in a single pipeline. And then the deal health dashboard. Status from two external sources. Okay, so this is kind of a layer on top of two CRMs idea where each company has their own CRM and then they're integrated with this third piece of software that kind of computes that. And for the purposes of this, maybe that would be a way to do this, but we're trying to solve this problem itself. We're not trying to figure out, do those other CRMs have APIs and all that. So let's go down to the clarifying questions. We have a suggestion here on how, and we want this product to be the CRM. The stage progression is the thing where stage progression will be covered next. I think that is not a key detail for the structure of the app. It's just key for how data gets in. Both parties need a view. We can't just have our need to be. And number 4, I don't really understand, so I'm going to ask more about number 4. Okay, let's see what the architect has for us. What do I mean by number 4? Trigger something, like a notification, a task assigned to someone. When both the branding and the post reach the same gate together, yeah, yeah, I agree that there should be something just to indicate. So I think that is the answer, that we would want to indicate when a deal has hit a certain level of progression within those two pipelines. Side by side. Okay, so now we're talking about UI questions. Clean, scannable, overall status is computed. Yep. That is kind of it. The progress bar. I like the more discrete labeling of stages. So yeah, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, this one seems better. Both teams must pass each gate. Right, but the way these deals progress, would not be the same for a branding agency and a web development agency. So I'm not a fan of the kind of force it into one. Each column represents a joint. Yeah, this is more what we want, I think, is showing that they progress at different paces and we need to represent that. But option A for the deal detail view, progress bars is so weird to me. I'm just going to do option C. And it's eager to start building, and I'm going to tell it to give it one moment. Want to fire based on when the deal reaches certain statuses in each pipeline. Okay, so I think we're good on this for now, and we'll give it a moment before we go into the actual setup of the table spaces and all that. There is one other fundamental question, which is how does how do deals move along in this system? Um, we we know that we can't create some joint permission model where every sales rep from both organizations logs in and moves this. We want it to be in line. So I'm going to ask it for some brainstorming ideas. I don't want sales reps from each org to log in by default. How can I make deal movement through each pipeline more integrated with their normal activities? And I'm going to switch. I don't care about this misselling. It's going to figure it out. I'm going to switch to Opus. We're going to do this once. Opus consumes a lot of tokens, but it is good for brainstorming. So let's see what happens. Okay, so let's see what the architect came up for how these things move along. Slack Teams bot. Yeah, reps are already in Slack or Teams. Uh, so it's basically asking for the rep to press a button or send a message in a channel. Yeah, that's okay. My concern is that I don't actually think reps are in Slack all day. That's more of an internal communication tool. I think reps tend to use email and the phone all day. So that might not be my preferred. That's why I like email. Uh, Send a weekly digest. Magic. Okay, that's interesting. The rep reads an email and they click. Then you have to remember um, by the end of the week which deals should be moving. So I think that's a little strange. Um, SMS text updates. Um, yeah, that could work. I don't know if most sales reps in this situation are already texting their clients. A shared deal page, that is definitely something we're going to do at some point. So I'll note that. I'm going to ask it, why can't we just integrate directly with email and then based on the content of the email, automatically move the deals forward? We will definitely want a shared deals portal on this, but can we integrate this directly with email on the content of the email? The deal moves automatically stage. Okay, so let's see what it thinks of this. I'm going to get out of Opus because that chews up a lot of tokens. My point here is we want our sales team to be talking to customers as much as possible. We don't want them poking around in a CRM when they don't have to. And I'm wondering if, with the latest advances in AI, that we can't just um, try to infer this. And of course, if something goes wrong, they can always come in and try to update it themselves. But we should not assume that they should be logging in every single time to move a deal around. Let's see what it says. This is a little hard to read at the moment. Um, so I'll keep on going. The AI node reads the raw email and extracts structured intent. Yep, you can see these are common words that you might use. And yeah, watch a shared inbox, email forwarding to a webhook. I think we're going to, uh, since it's always, I think we're going to go for option B in this example, which basically means um, we want individual reps to not have to think about, am I using the joint email? I just want to use my own email. And you can see some pros and cons of each one. Um, okay, cool. There's an automated update here that a thing moves. I like that, to give the rep notice about this without requiring them to log in. So let's do webhook forwarding. This plan sounds good. So we've solved our kind of user experience problem. We have an idea on the structure that the architect provided a while back. I'll try to find that. Yep, we have this. I like this. And I think we're ready to start building here. So let's, with the tables mentioned and the, all right, here we go. Okay, let's see what the architect returned. So to clarify our goals here, the architect took about 15 minutes to return these results. And as I go through this, I don't want to be, just telling it to build more and more things without testing, because there will always be small mistakes. And if I leave all my testing till the end, I'm going to have a miserable time and have a lot of things to fix. So as I go through these changes, I'm always thinking about, what do I need to test now in order to proceed? So with that, let's look through it. I'm going to scroll up here. What's working? Okay, we now have 6 tables. We got a deals table with 3 sample deals. We've got 12 types of stages, right? We know that the branding deals go through different stages than the dev stages. That makes sense. The deal has a stage, or this is a join table. Let's go over to the to this, and let's click the. Let's make sure we're looking at the right view here. Let's look at this at the same time. Right. So this is like a join table of these two things. So okay, deal stages look good. Deal stage history, definitely. We want an audit log on this. Contact. Where's contacts? Okay, contacts, that makes sense, because each deal is going to have both an owner on the agency side, each agency side, and a main contact on the customer side, and a notification log that it was just preparing for phase 3. The email parser automation, I'll click over here. Looks right when email is received. So there's a default email address provided by OverAI. And that means if I CC this email address, we will parse the email intent with something down here. I'm not going to read through all of it. And then validate, which part of the which deal we're talking about, who the sender was, and then we'll update the deal stage, log the history, and give a response. So generally makes sense. We'll still need to prove out that this works. And reach a milestone together, fire an alert, shared deal portal. So yeah, I think we want to do the shared deal portal first. This is a good note here to update our email address, forward your email to this to start receiving emails. I think I want to do the shared deal portal because I think that interaction will be pretty telling on how we understand what exactly is going on here. Um, so yeah, let's do shared deal portal here. The reason this shared deal portal will help is next, if I want to test the email automation that you can see on the screen here, I'm going to need some visual to make this easy to understand. Did I move the deal correctly? Um, I don't want to have to query the database and just, look for that one field. It's much easier to just see it move in real time and know, the email automation is working. Let's see what the architect returned for this first build out of the page. I'm going to read the summary first, and then I'm going to Kanban columns. Deal card is 2 tracks, branding, dev, alignment badge, green by if both tracks within one stage of each other. Interesting. So it's kind of, I suppose this is probably mainly on the front end for a visual for the user. Is this deal in a green state? Stats bar, yeah, pretty typical. Filters, very typical. Refresh button pulls latest data on demand because this is Postgres is over a web page. URL directly. Yeah, notifications. Okay. Let's not build the next thing yet. Let's go to view. I'm going to shrink this. Let's see what we have here. Agency deal portal. There are 3 deals. Okay, it's got 1 lost. I can immediately see one issue, which is this active category. It is interesting the way it did this because when there's 2 deal stages, you can't really visualize how close a given deal is. So then it starts doing it on a deal by deal basis like this, which is interesting. And the downside of this is it makes it very hard to interact with what's going on. So I'm going to ask it for a proposal of, let's imagine I had to manually move these things along. Uh, how would I do that? And this is a big ask at once to build a big complicated UI like this. So I am not expecting that it got it right the first time, but I want to make sure uh, this is where I want to go. Okay, it got very eager and it started building it without my approval. I should have gone here and clicked require approval for edits. I will do that going forward for these sorts of planning oriented things. But let's see what we have for now. Each deal gets a drop down. Stage. Yeah. Rewrite the relevant blocks. Okay, let it give it a shot, and then we will see if this makes sense afterwards. Because another weird thing I'm noticing is the fact that well, I'll let it finish. The fact that the one and the close take up 2/3 of the screen, but that's the least valuable information, right? We mostly care about the active columns, tells me that something is going wrong and we may want to adjust it. Like I'm thinking in real time here, what we could do is we could say, you know, let's make it work like a normal CRM. We have 6 columns because we have 6 stages in each, and let's align things to um, the stage of the two deals that it is less far along, that it needs more work, because that is actually what we want to know is like who are the slow poke between the two agencies in terms of moving this. So I think that's what I'm going to do here after it finishes is just tell it, thanks for doing this, but now let's add this other UI concept because we want that to take up all the screen is like how far along are the deals. Okay. Yeah, you can click a drop down, confirmation modal, card updates immediately. Stages are listed in order, backwards and moved allowed, but visually labeled back. Yeah, we want to get, let's take another revision here. There are 6 stages in each cycle, 6 columns, add the corresponding deal stage names at the top and put the cards in the column where the deal is least far along to represent the state of the pipeline. And let's make sure it does a plan this time. Each deal sits in the column, whichever pipeline. Different stage names. Yep, that's right. That's what we want. Okay, lost us. Yep. Okay, and now it's going to start asking for permissions. So I'm going, let's see. I don't know if this updates in real time, but I'm good with the plan, right? We see that there are not corresponding names. That's fine. We just want to represent this where it is. And yeah, it's calling it significant restructure. So it's good that we've agreed on the plan at least first. Here we go. So it returned a result. It adds these little logos. Each column is color coded. Yep, we'll see this. Deal placement logic, least advanced. Yep. Yes. And since now unlike a normal CRM where you can drag a card through the different stages, in this case, we don't want that because there are 2 stages to track, and therefore it's not as simple as just dragging and dropping, because therefore we wouldn't know which stage it should be in for each one. It's really 2 options. So I like that. So I'll remove this view. Okay. So this concept, okay, so it aligned both. So let's do one that's out of alignment, right? We have discovery and scoping. And if we move this to proposal sent, oh, there's a CSS bug there. I'm going to send a screenshot to fix that, but let's do proposal sent. Yep, we're going to confirm the move. Nice. It gives a little notice there. I like that. So I can see two issues, right? One is that this caret goes outside, and the other is that this menu is overflowing its container. I like the way these look. And yeah, I think we're almost done. We're ready to test the email automation next. So let me just fix this. Uh, whoops. Let me just fix this. Interesting. The left scroll isn't working so well, but I'll deal with that later. And let me make sure I take a good screenshot with the issue here. Goes outside um, the drop down and the drop down options overflow the container and become okay. Okay, let's see how it did. Yep, little CSS changes, portal directly, okay. We go view. Yeah, you can see that this cuts off the name now, even though it looks really nice. Oh, that didn't work. Let's fix this. All right, nice. Current back. Ooh, I like this. It's very clear. Okay, cool. And I want to fix this visual issue so it's not so cut off. Okay. Um, I'm gonna tell, let's remove the emojis. It's too much. Okay. We are now ready to test the email automation functionality. So as a reminder, what that looks like, if I expand this, if we go to email stage parser, we are going to need to send an email to, um, where is it? It's up here. We are going to need to send an email to this email address, and we're going to say something that indicates that a deal is moving. So let's say it's, um, Beta LLC is moving from discovery to revisions. And let's see how it does with that. In my personal email inbox, we're going to say this. I'm going to send it to myself to make sure that I track it, even though this would normally be a client, right? The way we want this automation to work is it's looking at the email that's naturally being sent and then turning that into information. But I'll make myself both the sender and the client in this case. And let's say it's like deal update, and we'll say, hey, client, thanks for your feedback on the sale on the deal to Beta LLC. We will, and let's make sure I remember my stage names. We will now move to the kickoff ready stage, let's say. Now move forward to planning the kickoff meeting. And then let's say for the, all right, let's see how it handles this. Before I send this, actually, let me make sure it's live. It is indeed alive. All right, we have V9 is deployed, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to click into the email stage parser. Let's see if we have a run history. All right, something broke. Let's start debugging. What happened? V2, V5, unauthorized sender. Okay. Let's see. Let's ask for help with this. If I do explain, will this? No, wrong type of explain. I need an explanation of the run output. Ah, I was impatient. It took a few seconds to come in. This is the previous failed one as part of testing. It took a few seconds to come in, and now it's working. So yep, and you can see we have V5 as the one deployed. So that's how we know it ran the most recent version. And I think I was just impatient, and the UI took a moment to update. So let's go back to the deal portal. And dev for beta LLC is not in kickoff ready. So it didn't seem to get the beta LLC out of that. Let's see. I wonder if it's just not looking at the right part of the, let's go to runs, this. That's strange. Check which email caused this to fire. I just sent one about beta LLC not acting. Okay, so this was created by the test. Interesting. Let me refresh the page quickly. No. What am I not getting? Last run outputs. AI parse email intent. Let me share a screenshot of my message with it and see the message I just sent went wrong. Oh, look at this. So they hard coded the allowed senders and interesting. It comments on the confidence, but that's kind of what we're testing here is some, when you speak with someone, you don't make it perfectly clear. Yeah, this allowed sender concept is kind of strange. I guess it's so that people don't flood this email with spam and therefore create a bunch of noise. But I'd like to change the rules for just doing it from anyone at a given domain. Um, okay, so can we update the senders table to allow emails from any person at an overai.com domain, which is our dev agency, and perigee.com for the branding agents. Okay, let's see. Yep, we fixed the domains issue. Notifications, we don't want to do that yet. Okay, let's try again. It looks like it thinks it succeeded. So it's deployed as v6, which is the one we just implemented. So let's send a new one. Same thing again. Hopefully should make it work. And here we go. Let's go to runs. Okay, we have a failure. Let's see what failed. Hmm. Let's see if I missed something. Maybe it's... Oh my, we have a one character bug. Okay, there's some nuances here that come from Google as a domain provider, and then if we go up here to runs, we need to see that this thing actually worked. There should be another version here, but I think since it ran it as a let's check our deal portal. Okay. Once you resend it, it'll go through automatically. So let's go again. I go like this. Same deal. We're going to update all this. And let's see what it says. A fourth run is going to pop up in a moment, and we'll see if it works. All right, we have all greens. I'm going to go to the deal portal. Kickoff ready. All right, so it worked. We successfully moved it forward with plain language. That's great news. And now we'll head on to the last stage, which is the automations and analytics part. If we go back to the CRM diagram, adding some functionality here to just prove that we can easily do this on top of the existing structure. The next step here is to create an email reporting system on top of this CRM, which I'm sure you're familiar from other CRMs. So what that means is I'd like to send a daily email to, let's say, executives who may not be interested in logging into this tool and just reporting on, let's say, what changed in the last day so they can stay on top of it and they don't have to log into this user interface. And when I say executives or sales team leaders, I really mean executives at two different companies, one at the branding agency and one at the the web development agency because that's the nature of this CRM. So that sounds like an automation in OverAI. So let's get this set up and let's see what the architect thinks. So I'd like to create a daily reporting email that goes out to specific emails at both the web dev and branding should share a summary of all deals that have changed state in the last day, let's say. Um, right, there's so many variations of this that we could create, but they're all conceptually similar. So I'm just going to start here. All deals that have changed in the last day. Can you help me build this? All right, two quick questions. What email should receive it? We are going to give, I'll use, I have two emails, so I'll use one. OverAI is the, let's say that's the web dev agency, and then Perigee will be the branding agency. But of course, these are just, things that are one-line changes. And what time should it go out? Yeah, 8 a.m. Eastern is good. Okay, so we'll do Kevin at overai.com for the web dev. Kevin at perigee.com for. Okay, so let me check my email and see how it did. Looks like it did pretty well. We were looking at the kickoff ready example, so it captured that. I know I was clicking around a little bit in the UI. I don't remember what things I clicked exactly. Okay, this may be an example where it got it wrong, right? Concepts to concepts, that doesn't make a ton of sense. So I'm going to point this out. And there's some styling issues here, right? It didn't get the styling entirely right. And then an active pipeline snapshot, I like this. So yeah, just a couple critiques here to send. We'll do this one. It's going to know if I just call it messed up. It doesn't need more than that. And then the other one is I'll say that. I also noticed that concepts to concepts. All right, let's see how it does with those two. Okay, let's check out what we have. Let's see what is going on here. Runs. Let's ask it what's going on. All right, it's attaching them to the same thread. And you can see we have a fix here with the styling. And then all of these are proper stage changes. So seems to be doing well. So I would say this is ready to ship and move on to the next thing.